Welcome to this special presentation by Foothill 7 Television. I'm Bill Sullivan, and I'm here today with Craig Root, the Area Commander for the Placerville Area California Highway Patrol, and Quinn Cuthbertson, the Public Information Officer for the Placerville Area Highway Patrol. And we are here today to talk about a growing problem on our streets, distracted driving. And gentlemen, it's nice to have you here.
Thank you for having us.
Glad to be here.
Tell us a little bit about distracted driving, exactly what it is. It differs today than it did back when we were all driving as teenagers. There's a lot more out there that can distract our teens behind the wheel and adults.
There is, back when, 20, 30 years ago when teenagers were first learning to drive, I mean, basically they had to worry about 10 and 2, maybe a few stations on the radio and a cassette player or a CD. Now with the electronic age and iPhones and cell phones and iPads and GPS and satellite radio, there's just a lot more that can take their attention off the road, which ultimately becomes a lot more dangerous.
So it's a lot of the new devices, the mobile devices are one of the key things.
Absolutely.
Distracted driving is really anything that takes drivers' attention off the roadway. And one of our goals as officers in California Highway Patrol is to educate new and current drivers of those hazards, whether it's cell phone, trying to eat a hamburger, or turn the radio on or off, or even passengers in the vehicle. Those are all distractions, and we are doing our best to make people aware of that.
And it's my understanding that distracted driving is one of the #1 killers of teens out there on the roadways now in auto accidents.
Nearly 3,500 teens were killed last year in the United States in car crashes. More than 1/10 of those teens lost their lives in California. Distracted driving is one of the leading causes of these tragic crashes, and it continues at an alarming rate. In 2011, CHP issued more than 168,000 cell phone tickets related to distracted driving.
And although there's many forms that people can get seriously injured or killed in a car, the general perception out there still isn't that distracted driving causes the majority of these fatalities. A lot of people tend to think that speeding, drunk driving, reckless driving are the leaders in those. And we've got a video to watch here in a moment, put together by a program that you guys have that hits just on that shows what the general perception of what kills on the roadways.
Well, distracted driving is anything from trying to change the channel on your radio, to answering a cell phone or looking at a text message, to having your friends in the car with you. Anything that takes your attention off the roadway is distracted driving. Impact Teen Drivers has provided a video for us to watch that gives a little bit more explanation on that.
Okay, and we're going to take a look at that video by Impact Teen Driving right now.
Disasters.
Smoking.
Cigarettes, alcohol,
forest fires,
Disease.
cancer.
Domestic violence.
Falling.
What do I consider lethal? Well, obviously things that kill people.
what do I consider lethal? Leaving your door unlocked and crazy people can get in.
A shot to the head.
Stupid people with guns. AIDS.
Bombs.
Murderers.
So what do you consider lethal? For most, it's a matter of perspective. It's either the dangers they sense immediately around them, or it's based on an experience they had. We asked random people what they thought was the #1 killer of teens in America. Here's what they said.
#1 killer of teens in America would be...
I would probably say drugs.
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Drugs.
I don't know, drugs.
Probably something drug related.
Meth.
Probably have something to do with guns.
I would say acting stupid.
Monster trucks.
Drunk driving, I guess.
Probably drunk driving.
Drug driving.
Drunk driving.
I would have to say cigarettes.
Gang violence.
Violence. I would have to say negative thinking.
Animals.
Smoking crack and getting pregnant.
So some of you are watching this thinking, great, the same old crap we always hear about. Drunk driving, drugs, and the evils of pirating music. But the #1 killer of teens in America is something we've all participated in. Distracted and reckless driving. Seriously, we've all sent a text message while driving, updated our Facebook, made a playlist, dug through a bag, turned to talk to friends, all while supposedly paying attention to the road. So for the next few minutes, we want to show you the lives that have been shattered by distracted and reckless driving. and the simple things that you can do to avoid becoming a statistic.
A teenager is dead after an overnight accident, and police say speed was a factor.
The cops estimated he was going about 100 miles an hour.
She went head on into another car, and that gentleman was killed also.
Basically, they were just being kids, driving a little bit fast is all. Good intentions.
A special vigil tonight to remember a standout athlete.
My daughter has lost one of her very dearest friends, her big brother.
There was an indentation in the roof as to where he hit his head.
I visualized that for years afterwards. He clipped the sidewalk or the curb, went upside down.
Experts say car accidents are the #1 killer of teens nationwide.
I don't have my brother anymore. He's not here. He's not around.
And I heard him say time of death. And I just freaked out.
So what exactly is reckless and distracted driving? Let's put it this way. Anytime you have to take your eyes off the road for any reason, that's distracted driving. And reckless driving, that's speeding and driving like a total idiot. Now for the simple part. How do you keep from needlessly dying in a car crash? That's easy. First, you tell your friends that as much as you love them, to sit down and shut up when you're behind the wheel. If they continue to fool around in your car, tell them how great they would look with a feeding tube in their stomach. Second, you realize that you decrease the risk of crashing your sweet car by 2,000% when you don't text and drive. Third, you come to terms with the fact that you might have to wake up 2 minutes earlier just so you're not speeding and running stop signs and putting your life and the lives of others at risk just so you're not late. Still not exactly sure what reckless and distracted driving is? Let's hear what our resident expert has to say.
Hi everyone, it's Katie here to talk to you about your driving habits. So, here you are driving along with your peeps. You got your window down, tunes blaring, giggling like toddlers in a candy shop. When you, the driver, decides to impress your friends with an outlandish display of horsepower. Really? Breaking the speed limit? Risking your life just for kicks and giggles? Come on, people. That's called reckless driving. How about this little scenario? You are a safe driver who never speeds or breaks the law. But as you are driving, you just had to send that important text message about the guy who likes the girl at school, or does he know, or does she know, or do you know, or whoopsie daisy, you just hit a telephone pole. Hello, folks! You're driving a 6,000-pound metal beast! Don't you think the latest awesome school gossip could wait? That's distracted driving. You drive like that in my hood, my mom will be all up in your grill. Faster than you could say, oh no she didn't, girlfriend. I gotta run.
Yeah, I think we all learned something today. Everyone gets distracted while driving. So what distracts you?
If I'm reading directions as I'm driving, I get distracted.
Putting on makeup.
Just getting lost in thought and not paying attention to what I'm doing.
Like eating,
Drinking, looking for stuff in my purse.
Oh, the beautiful sunset. Just staring over there while I'm driving, you know?
Friends in the back seat.
Other people in the car.
Looking for something on the floor.
I definitely talk on the phone while I drive. And I don't want to admit that I get distracted, but I do.
Probably just music. Should like change my music on my iPod or texting.
Texting, emailing.
Texting, iPods, talking.
Texting. Some people suck at texting when they're driving. I, however, am really good at it.
What you often hear from victims is that they never thought it would happen to them. That their son, daughter, friend, or classmate would be involved in a fatal car crash. And absolutely no one could imagine causing such a tragic event.
Let me tell you about Donovan.
He was my teammate.
He was my son.
He was a classmate.
He was my best friend.
He was my boyfriend.
My son was my baby boy.
We were just kids, like, having fun.
We were laughing, we were blaring the music up really loud, and I noticed that we were going pretty fast, and it was causing the car to swerve back and forth.
We were, like, making fun of her, telling her, like, can't you keep the car, like, in a straight line?
My response was, oh, like this, and I jerked the wheel back and forth. And the next thing I know, I just see a tree coming at us.
I remember like all the sounds of like the car crashing.
I looked around and I see Donovan, but he wasn't moving. So I sat with Danica. I kept telling her, I think Donovan's dead. Donovan's dead. I even remember calling out Donovan's name and, you know, hoping that he would hear me and just get up.
I saw him like laying in his own blood, and I knew for sure that he was gone.
When we walked up, that's what he first said, was Donovan didn't make it.
I remember hearing Martha.
Not my son. Not my boy.
And I think that was one of the most painful things to experience, was hearing a mother cry about her son.
The screaming of a mother, just now finding out that her son is dead. And all simply because of something that was so preventable.
We were just going home. Speed wasn't really a factor.
Before we knew it, like, in a matter of seconds, we lost our best friend.
It was my fault being the driver because I had that responsibility. I would change it if I could.
We were just having fun.
And within a split second,
I lost somebody that meant the world to me. It changed my life forever.
So you've heard the compelling stories, you've seen the stats, and unless you are sleeping or busy worried about what your teacher is wearing today, you understand the simplicity of the message. What is lethal to teens are bad driving habits, something that can be changed, something that can start saving lives today. So now it's your turn. Fill out the I Commit card, visit the website whatdoyouconsiderlethal.com, and help us promote this important cause by participating in the Create Real Impact contest. Most importantly, when you're behind the wheel, focus on the road ahead of you and get where you're going safely. And the reason this is so important to me, my life was shattered by a reckless driver who took the lives of my mom, 2 best friends, and niece while I was pulled from the burning wreckage. I live every day thinking about what could have happened if that driver had chosen to drive differently. Don't let it happen to you.
And wow, that really says a lot when you see how many people out there don't realize how bad distracted driving is, and it's taking a lot of lives out there.
Absolutely.
Craig, you have teenagers,
yes.
And there's a lot of programs out there for them to make sure this isn't happening. Tell us a little bit about what CHP has out in the Whaley programs.
Well, as you may know, the mission of the California Highway Patrol is to provide safety, service, and security to the motoring public of California. Through that, the department strives to help educate, and part of reaching that mission is to educate the public. We have several programs ranging in all ages and in all forms to help us achieve that goal. The 2 that I would like to talk about on this topic is Impact Teen Drivers and Start Smart, which is geared more towards the teens and distracted driving. Impact Teen Driving is a program that we go to the schools, and it's put on more in an assembly type setting, and the Start Smart classes are put on more. The parents become involved. You have to send up one parent with the teen and go and sit through a presentation. Quinn does both programs, both the Impact Teen Drivers and the Start Smart classes. I have 3 teenage boys. All 3 of them at one time or another have been through the Start Smart class, and all of them have come away much more educated in the dangers of the teens face driving.
Much more than Dad just telling them
Absolutely.
Be careful. Okay, so the laws that have been imposed to help with this, one of the big things is the cell phone laws have changed greatly over the past few years. Tell us, Quinn, if you can tell us a little bit about what's out there as far as the law use of your cell phone in a vehicle.
Well, I'm going to cover, cell phones and texting in general. If you're 18 years old or younger, you're not allowed to use your cell phone at all, and that includes texting. And for parents out there, I would suggest, challenge your child and put that cell phone in the back seat or in the back pocket of the seat where they don't have an option to reach it. As we all know, that cell phones are the biggest distraction out there. I know that when my cell phone rings or I feel it vibrate, I have a want or a need to look at that cell phone. And that need is probably 10 times greater for our teens. They are growing up with those cell phones. So challenge them. Put that cell phone in the back of the seat or turn it off. For 18 and older, you're allowed to have wireless Bluetooth for the phone. You're not necessarily allowed to touch the phone, pick it up, look at it. If you're seen by a law enforcement officer with that phone in your hand, the chances are likely you're going to get pulled over and you will more than likely get a ticket.
So it needs to be voice command on everything, basically voice control. You're not going to be dialing, that doesn't count.
That is
phone's
correct.
in your hand, you're in trouble.
Yes.
Okay. And as far as GPSs, iPods, it all falls under that as well.
If there is a device in your hand and it looks like a cell phone, no matter what the law says, it is a distraction because your attention isn't on the roadway. GPS, there are laws that require it to be in the lower left-hand portion of the windshield, and I believe the screen on that GPS, is about 7 inches. It might be even smaller than that. But there are specific requirements in the law of where that screen is visible.
Okay, and we've talked about a lot of different concepts here, but what is the biggest thing you guys recommend for teens out there and parents of teens? What can they do to implement this stuff into their teens' minds and the programs? What's your best advice out there to get them to get their children to see what we're talking about here today?
Well, there's several things they can do. One of them is attend one of the classes, whether it's the Start Smart or the Impact Teen Drivers. Start Smart is for future and current drivers that are between the ages of 15 and 19 years old. And I hold those classes at least once a month, depending on the need in the community. If there's an event or something happens in one region, well, I'll hold my Start Smart class more often than I usually do, just to put that information out there. And like I said earlier, be aware of the distractions out there, whether they be friends or that cell phone. To give you an idea, last week there was a traffic collision. There was a 16-year-old girl rolled her vehicle on the 50. And she was asked, what happened? And her answer was, I was texting my mom. So if you know your child is going to be in a vehicle driving somewhere, don't put that temptation in front of them. Don't text them.
Wait till they're home.
Wait until they're home.
The best advice I can give parents from having the 3 teenagers that are driving is just be a role model. Kids learn by watching you. As Quinn said, put your phone away. Don't leave that temptation there for if it rings or if you want to check a text. Leave it in the purse, leave it behind the seat. Just be a role model for your kids.
Okay, and then go and enroll these programs. You guys encourage these parents to enroll in all of these different programs, and you're there to answer questions. And what's the best way that a parent can reach out to CHP to find out about these programs?
They can call me directly at the office. Our number for CHP is 530-622-1110. Also, you can go online to impactteendrivers.org and get additional information. Or if you're a teen and you want to research that, go on what do you consider lethal CHP.com.
Great advice, and we thank everybody for viewing this special program. And if you're a parent out there with a teen, we encourage you to talk to these guys and get a hold of them and find out how you can get your teenager enrolled in a program like this. Show them this program that we've been talking about here today. You can go to our website, foothill7tv.com, and watch it on demand and share it with your children. We'd like to thank both of you for being here today. And this is a very important topic, and it's a growing epidemic. And we thank you for joining us at Foothill 7 because we want to make a difference.
Thank you.